and welcome to our today's episode about the Change for African campaign. So, fellow Africans, being on Tuesday, we speak about the potential that we own as Africa, and indeed, we have the potential. I have the latitude to tell you that we do have immense potential as an African continent. Number one, I'd like to remind you one thing: that Africa only, we own the richest man on earth. We own the richest man on earth is an African from Southern Africa. So if there is nothing that can hold Africa, we do not have short of minds to develop Africa or to make Africa a great continent. And so therefore, fellow Africans, being on Tuesday and today a country to help us exemplify on Africa's potential, I will be going directly to a Western African country, and that is the great Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso is a country under a military government, and under Captain Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso. And so Ibrahim Traore, just a short just a short description about him is that he reigned or he rose to power or assumed power in 2022, and after outstating, the then president, who was also a militia or who was also a military guy or a captain, Damimba, and the reasons as to why Traore took this bold decision was because he's not a politician, but he's a military guy or he's a soldier. And Captain Ibrahim Traore, according to the research I've gone through, is that this guy saw that what was happening was not a real thing that was supposed to be happening, or the state in which his country, which is an African country, was in, was a very poor state, and it was a state that he could not withstand to see, and to watch, being a soldier. And he had to take a bold decision of what he can do as a responsible citizen of Burkina Faso, and he had the position. That is why Captain Ibrahim Traore took that bold step, and he took this because he saw that what was happening was a complete contrary to what could happen, or of what was to be happening. What was happening was a complete contrary to what was supposed to be happening, and so it is that the lives of the people of Burkina Faso were in a very destitute, and people were suffering, people were eating grass, people were just facing hell in Burkina Faso. And it is not because of war, it is because of the governance in Burkina Faso. It is because of the political system that was in Burkina Faso. And so this one takes us to a question of our problem with the governance system and our problem with our political systems in Africa that make Africa not to realize its potential as it should be, because Africa is a land of great potential. And I love it in the sense that Captain Ibrahim Traore actually did accept, and he knows very well, live and well, that Africa cannot or is not a country to depend on any other nation or on any other continent. Globally, Africa is a continent that can stand for itself. Africa is a continent that can produce its own food. Africa is a continent that can do its own manufacturing. Africa is a continent that can grow. Africa is a continent that can be a global example in terms of development. But then, what Captain Ibrahim Traore saw was that the problem with all this being realized, or all this potential being unleashed and seen in the outer picture in Africa, it was because of one thing: the leadership or the governance systems in Africa. And that is why he decided to go, being a responsible citizen and being a passionate and a citizen of empathy and a citizen who understood how people should be living, how the standards of the living standards of people should be. That is when he took a bold decision to go and and rescue Burkina Faso. And it is a very going through also all the research overnight, I've seen that Captain Ibrahim Traore, going through what he has been able to achieve in only 2 years' time, 2022 to 2024, as it was coming to an end. It is a very, this guy has been able to do some commendable transformations because of strategic interventions to very critical sectors that people or that feed a lot of the African population. Very critical sectors that these are sectors that are we call them the global opportunities, and so Captain Ibrahim Traore has been able to dive into these sectors and take the advantage of the ability to feed the African population and take the advantage of the ability and the possibility, because there's also a possibility or a contingency of these sectors or critical sectors, improving the living standard of the lives of the people of Africa. How? Because these are sectors that do employ a lot of people, a lot of the youth population to go and work in employment. Creation of employment in such sectors leads to our people being able to get jobs. This one now will cut off the problem of our people dying in the Mediterranean Sea. This one will cut off the problem of our people, being deported to other countries to go and work, while we have a lot of tasks here that are supposed to be done by our own people in Africa. And so, more so in the field of agriculture, Traore has been able to do a lot of transformations over those 2 years that, looking at other African countries, other democratically elected leaders in Africa, that is a story that cannot happen or is not even near of close to happening. How? There is one thing that I've seen in the agricultural sector, because for the first time since that country got its independence from 1960s, Burkina Faso was able to put up 2 processing tomato plants, for the first time, and in 2 years' time. Number 2 is about the irrigation systems. Burkina Faso was able to construct, a massive dam, that is able to aid in the irrigation or to aid the irrigation systems. That is good for agricultural sector. Burkina Faso, the leadership under leadership of Traore, was able to come up with very pragmatic plans on how they can improve the agricultural sector in terms of provision of hybrid seeds, in terms of provision of fertilizers, in terms of provision of tractors to help in mechanization. All these things, believe me or not, these things were given. These are fully government sponsored things. These are fully government done things. It shows that no farmer is even paid us a penny to receive this. But then the ripple or the counter or the impact of this has been that Burkina Faso has been able, in terms of production and rising of production, in terms of the basket and the food basket and the GDP, or what the agricultural sector has been able to contribute to the GDP or the gross domestic produce. It is a very huge thing, because according to the statistics that in 2023, agricultural sector in Burkina Faso contributed 16.33% to the gross domestic product or produce, to the GDP of 29.25%. So this is a very huge step that this country has made, and this one just shows one thing, that we have indeed the potential, that if we have right decisions, if we have pragmatic steps that we put in place, Africa is a land of great potential. Africa can do it, because actually production, according to the statistics I have, production in terms of what has been able to be achieved and just in what they are growing, what they've been able to grow in Burkina Faso, is that with the provision of access to improved hybrid seedlings, Several imports from millet production rose from 907,000 metric tons in 2022 to 1.1 million metric tons in 2024. That was not happening before. Similarly, rice production in Burkina Faso increased from 280,000 metric tons in 2022 to 326,000 metric tons in 2024. So this shows that we have the potential. We can produce our own food, we can feed our own people, and we can be a country. We can be the global food basket, a continent of great potential, which is Africa. And so, fellow Africans, we do have a lot to talk about the potential that we own as Africa, and that is a broader discussion that we will continue to speak about and to talk more about it, because Africa is a land of great potential. So therefore, fellow Africans, allow me to wish you a great day and a good afternoon. May God bless you, and let's meet tomorrow as we discuss about the resources that we own as Africa. Thank you for being there for us. Thank you.